Imagine being a scientist whose career purpose is to find aliens, but not just any aliens, human-like intelligent aliens. Imagine devoting your entire professional career to such an endeavor. After all, finding extraterrestrial life by itself, even bacteria, would be the most important scientific discovery of history. But imagine receiving an interstellar radio communication from an extraterrestrial civilization. Did this already happen in 1977? Hello, I'm Dr. Alejo. If you are watching this in 2025 and are a person who is intrigued by the possibility of the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations, I am sure you have been paying attention to all the UFO disclosure talk happening this year. Truth to be told, despite all the whistleblowers, documentaries, and blurry videos and pictures out there, as per December 2025, there is not a single piece of concrete evidence that indicates that aliens are indeed visiting us or that they are already amongst us. But there is a piece of evidence which, to be honest with you, to me, is more concrete and real than all the UFO stuff we have been seeing throughout the years. Let's talk about the Wow signal. On Monday, August 15, 1977, Dr. Jerry Eman was a volunteer researcher working with the Big Ear radio telescope from Ohio State University. Big Ear had become the first full-time search for extraterrestrial life facility back in 1971. On that Monday, just after 11:15 a.m., the system registered a signal that came from the constellation Sagittarius that lasted for about 72 seconds and was printed on paper by the computer with the rest of the results from the observations. For the untrained eye, the printing is just a bunch of numbers and letters that make no sense. But Dr. Eman noticed something in the printout that was surprising and exciting. It was exactly what he and other SETI researchers have been waiting for: a radio signal from a celestial source which was much stronger than the background noise. When he saw the printing and its potential, it wrote "Wow" on the piece of paper. Unfortunately, the signal was never observed again, but the researchers involved in studying it were almost certain this wasn't a signal generated by a natural source. On the contrary, it had many characteristics of an artificial signal. One of the most interesting areas of astronomy is the field of astrobiology. Astrobiology is used to describe the study of potential life in other worlds. Under the umbrella of astrobiology, we have two types of signatures or markers. First, we have biosignatures. These are the byproducts of biological activities. Chemical elements such as oxygen, methane, phosphine, that could be an indication of potential extraterrestrial life. This life could be simple, as in bacteria, microbes, etc., but could also be complex, such as the animals on Earth. On the other hand, technosignatures are an indication of human-like intelligence. They could be an artificial electronic signal or industrial pollutants, for example. Defined by Dr. Jill Tarter as evidence of some technology that modifies its environment in ways that are detectable, technosignatures is what the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, or SETI community, focuses on. Contrary to the ambiguity of the detection of certain gases in the atmosphere of an exoplanet, a confirmed radio signal from an extraterrestrial civilization would be irrefutable proof of the existence of human-like intelligent aliens. The Wow signal was a narrowband signal used to transmit information on a fixed frequency. In contrast, a broadband signal is noise-like and spread across a wide range of frequencies. Narrowband signals are an ideal way to transmit information, if you want someone to receive and decode the signal, of course, as the receiver instrument can be tuned to listen at a specific range instead of focusing on a wide band of frequencies. Narrowband signals are also more cost-effective from the power required to transmit them. But being narrowband wasn't the only interesting thing. The Wow signal was centered at 1420 MHz. This sounds like a random frequency, but it is not. In the SETI community, this frequency belongs to the range referred to as the Warhol, which goes from 1420 MHz to 1720 MHz, and SETI researchers expect a technologically advanced civilization may use it for transmission due to its significance in the universe. Hydrogen atoms emit at 1420 MHz, which corresponds to a wavelength of 21 centimeters. Hydroxyl molecules, which are composed of one atom of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen, emit at 4 specific radio frequencies ranging from 1612 MHz to 1720 MHz. When a hydrogen atom combines with a hydroxyl molecule, this results in a molecule of water, which is the most essential molecule for life as we know it. This frequency is also very relevant and pervasive in several astronomical events. Therefore, it is assumed to be a well-known frequency by any technologically mature society. The fact that the Wow signal was centered at this exact frequency brought even more mystery and relevance as a possible technosignature. But not everybody is on board the aliens called bandwagon. Other astronomers have argued that the Wow signal could have originated because of passing comets. In a 2015 paper, the scientists highlight that the comets 266P Christensen and P2008 Y2 were transiting in the vicinity at the time when the Wow signal was detected. The nuclei of comets are surrounded by large hydrogen clouds with extensions of several million kilometers in radius. The hydrogen clouds would explain the main frequency of the transmission. We explored comets in more detail in a previous video that discusses the nature of the interstellar object 3I Atlas. I invite you to check it out. A more recent effort, and by far the most extensive study to find the origin of the Wow signal, is the Arecibo Wow project, led by the Puerto Rican planetary astrobiologist Abel Méndez. The Arecibo Wow project is a modern technosignature investigation that employs archival data from the now-gone Arecibo Observatory. The Arecibo Observatory was located in Arecibo, Puerto Rico, and it was owned by the U.S. National Science Foundation, NSF. The observatory had a radio telescope of 305 meters in diameter. It was the largest single-aperture telescope for 53 years until 2016. It was mostly used for radio astronomy, pulsars, galaxies, planetary radar, atmospheric science, and SETI programs. This radio telescope gave us the discovery of the first binary pulsar and the first exoplanet around a pulsar. It is also very famous in the SETI community as this was the telescope used to send the 1974 Arecibo message to potential alien civilizations out there. This is a topic for another video. Unfortunately, the dish of the telescope collapsed on December 1st, 2020. Man, 2020 was indeed a really crappy year. The NSF announced that they weren't going to rebuild the facility. The Arecibo Wow project started in 2017 as an effort to study radio emissions from red dwarf stars. These are low-mass stars that are cooler than the Sun and extremely long-lived. These are also the most abundant type of stars in our galaxy, accounting for up to 75% of all stars in the Milky Way. Red dwarfs are of high interest for SETI researchers as possible stars hosting planets with extraterrestrial civilizations. This is due to being the most common stars and for having rocky planets around them, like the famous TRAPPIST-1 system, a planetary system with 7 rocky planets. These stars are extremely long-lived, which could indicate to be the potential home of ancient and therefore really advanced civilizations. The team collected data from 2017 to 2020, recreating the observational conditions of the Wow signal. For instance, they focused on the 1419.5 to 1421 MHz frequency and used channels of 10 kHz bandwidth. The analysis of the data revealed the presence of several small cold HI clouds that produce Wow-like signatures. As a matter of fact, they found multiple narrowband signals similar to the Wow signal, but 100 times weaker. These findings have given an origin to a new hypothesis. The Wow signal was more than likely to have been originated by a transient brightening of a cloud of neutral hydrogen, triggered by a powerful astrophysical event, possibly a magnetar, flare, or other extreme burst. Professor Méndez has an upcoming book that talks about the human story behind the detection of the Wow signal. The book is planned to be released in August 2027. Wait and wonder, the untold story of the Wow signal. Can't wait for it to be out. But if you are very impatient, you can get right now another amazing book, The Elusive Wow, Searching for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, by Robert H. Gray, a book written to explore the history of SETI, but centered in the Wow signal. A little bit technical, but in overall, a very good read on this topic. So, there you go. It seems that the Wow signal wasn't aliens after all. Am I disappointed? Yeah, a little bit. However, it shows you how science works. It is based on hard, concrete, and reproducible evidence, something that no one in the UFO community has been able to produce in more than 60 years. Of course, this wouldn't be a complete episode of this channel without a quote of the remarkable Carl Sagan. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Let me know in the comments what you think. Are you disappointed or inspired by these types of projects to see what else could be hiding in those large archives of data? If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, remember to press the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. I also invite you to check my video about the Technosignatures, where we introduce the many types of them and also talk more extensively about how we can detect them. Finally, check out my book, Story of More Than 5,000 Worlds, where we explore the Wow signal in more detail and plenty of more SETI-related topics. That's it for now, and remember, the truth is out there.